Hello, young math Padawans. Today's lesson is a review of the properties of equality. The first property of equality is APOE, or APOE, and it stands for addition property of equality. What does that mean? That means that you have to add the same value to both sides of an equation in order for that equation to remain true. The second property of equality is SPOE, or SPOE, and that stands for the subtraction property of equality. It states that you have to subtract the same value from both sides of an equation to be true. Let's look at some examples. Starting with APOE, I'm starting with a true equation 10 equals 10. Now, whenever I'm using properties of equality, I like to draw a line down the middle of my equation to keep the left side separate from the right. If I decide that I want to add 5 on the left side of the equation and simplify, my equation becomes 15 equals 10. Is this equation still true? No, not still true because 15 does not equal 10. So, to keep it true, I'm going to use the addition property of equality and add 5 on the right side as well. Now we have a true equation, 15 equals 15, which is true. This is a really basic example that many of you know. Let's look at something a little bit more complex. In our second example with APOE, we have an equation that's slightly more complex. However, it's still true. 6 plus 4 equals 10. I'm going to start by putting the line down the middle of my equal side to keep the left side separate from the right. Let's say I decide to add 5 to 10 on the right side. The question becomes, to keep this equation true, am I going to add 5 to the 6, or should I add 5 to the 4? Well, let's do a little trial and error. I'm going to go ahead and simplify the right side of this equation. 10 plus 5 is 15. Okay? Let's see what happens when I add 5 to the 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. Does 6 plus 9 equal 15? Yes, it does. All right, that worked out. Let's try another one. What if instead I decide to add 5 to the 6? 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 plus 4, does that equal 15? Yes, this is still a true equation. What if I add 5 to both? Add 5 to 6 and add 5 to 4. 6 plus 5 is 11. 4 plus 5 is 9. Does 11 plus 9 still equal 15? No, this is now a false equation, and here's why. When I added 5 twice on the left side, I didn't actually add 5 total. I added 10 because adding 5 and adding another 5 means that I've added 10 now on that side. So when using APOE, or the addition property of equality, only add the same value to both sides, but not to every term. Now we're going to move on to SPOE, or subtraction property of equality. Just as we did with addition, we're starting with the true equation and a line down the middle of the equal sign. Let's say I want to subtract 5 from the left side of the equation and simplify. 10 minus 5 is 5. Does 5 equal 10? No, this would be a false equation. That's because I need to subtract 5 on the right side as well. Subtract 5, 10 minus 5 is 5, and now I have a true equation. Let's look at a more complex example. 6 plus 4 equals 10, another true equation. Let's say I decide to subtract 5 from 10 and simplify. Now the right side of the equation has a value of 5. So should I subtract 5 from 6 or 5 from 4? The answer is, it doesn't matter. Let's start by subtracting 5 from 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 plus 4 still has a value of 5, and this equation is still true. But what if I wanted to subtract 5 from 4? Careful here. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And 6 minus 1, still 5, and the equation is still true. Now, could I get away with subtracting 5 from both the 6 and the 4? Let's see. 6 minus 5, that's 1. 4 minus 5, that's negative 1. Does 1 minus 1 equal 5? No way, this equation is no longer true. And that's because we didn't actually subtract 5 from the left side. We subtracted a grand total of 10. So when using the subtraction property of equality, or SPOE, only subtract the same value from both sides, not from every term. So to recap, addition property of equality states that you're going to add the same value to both sides of the equation to remain true. Notice how it says both sides and not every term. Subtraction property of equality, or SPOE, has a similar definition. Subtract the same value from both sides of an equation for that equation to remain true. Time for you to practice.